In the peaceful village of Ednea in Kerala, a young spiritual leader named Kesavananda Bharati, head of the Ednea Mutt, oversees his daily responsibilities at the monastery. The Mutt had served not just as a spiritual center, but as a place of learning, shelter, and service to the community. One day, as he reads a notice from the government, his calm is shattered. Under newly passed land reform laws, the Kerala government plans to acquire the Mutt's land, property used for religious and charitable purposes. Shocked and concerned, Kesavananda consults legal advisors. They inform him that the state has used its powers under land reform legislation, and Parliament has amended the Constitution to protect such laws from being challenged in court. His right to manage the affairs of his religious institution under Article 26 of the Constitution is under threat. The only option is to challenge not just the law, but the power of Parliament itself. A petition is filed in the Supreme Court of India. In New Delhi, Prime Minister Indira Gandhi sits with her closest advisors. Her government has pushed a bold socialist agenda, nationalizing banks, removing royal privileges, redistributing land to the poor. To implement these reforms, her government has repeatedly amended the Constitution, bypassing judicial scrutiny by inserting clauses that place laws outside the purview of courts. "We need the power to amend anything," she tells her legal advisors. "The Constitution must serve the people. The courts cannot block progress." But the judiciary is growing increasingly wary of the unchecked power of Parliament. The earlier Golak Nath, 1967, case had already limited Parliament's power to amend fundamental rights. Now, with Kesavananda's petition, the issue has come to a head. The Supreme Court of India forms a special 13-judge bench, the largest in its history. For 68 days, some of the greatest legal minds in India argue the case. The courtroom is packed with lawyers, students, journalists, and citizens. On one side, the Union government's lawyers argue that Article 368 of the Constitution gives Parliament unlimited power to amend any part of the Constitution, including fundamental rights. The Constitution must be flexible, they argue. The people, through Parliament, must be supreme. On the other side, Kesavananda's legal team, led by brilliant constitutional scholars, presents a strong defense of the Constitution's core principles. There are essential features of the Constitution, they argue, that no majority in Parliament can destroy, such as democracy, rule of law, secularism, and the independence of the judiciary. The atmosphere is intense. The judges themselves disagree with one another, and behind closed doors, long debates stretch through the night. The stakes are enormous. If the government wins, there would be no limit to its power. If the petitioners win, India's constitution will forever have a protective shield. On April 24, 1973, the judgment is delivered. The courtroom is silent. In a 7-6 majority, the Supreme Court holds that Parliament has wide powers to amend the Constitution, but it cannot alter its basic structure. This ruling introduces the basic structure doctrine, a legal principle that is not written in the Constitution, but is derived from its spirit. The court declares that core elements such as democracy, separation of powers, rule of law, judicial independence, and fundamental rights are so vital to the Constitution that they cannot be destroyed, even by constitutional amendment. The Kesavananda Bharati case becomes a turning point. The judiciary has drawn a line that Parliament cannot cross. The Constitution is not a plaything of political power. It has a soul that must endure. Just 2 years later, in 1975, Indira Gandhi declares a national emergency. Civil liberties are suspended. The press is censored. Opposition leaders are jailed. Parliament passes the 42nd Amendment, trying to erase the basic structure doctrine and make Parliament's power absolute. But the Kesavananda judgment stands as a bulwark. It becomes the foundation for later judgments, especially Minerva Mills v. Union of India, 1980, which strike down parts of the 42nd Amendment. The court reaffirms that no government has the right to rewrite the soul of the Constitution. The basic structure doctrine becomes India's constitutional firewall, a protection against authoritarianism. Years pass. In law classrooms, courts, and political debates, the Kesavananda Bharati case is remembered not just as a legal decision, but as a moment when the constitution was saved from dictatorship. Kesavananda Bharati himself returns to a quieter life in Kerala, never seeking the spotlight. Yet his name becomes immortal. His simple petition grew into the most important case in Indian history, one that protected democracy, preserved fundamental rights, and ensured that no government could ever become bigger than the Constitution. Today, every Indian owes a silent debt to that one case that stood between democracy and dictatorship and chose freedom.